It's a country which has its own way of functioning and its own way of life. There are other resources in Madagascar, resources that are invaluable and that can't be measured by the world's criteria of poverty or development. I work with conservation NGOs and the like, and I quit. Why? Because the local populations, the people who are the true guardians of this cultural, material and immaterial heritage, no longer feel as if the land is theirs. In fact, we realized that the more strategies of conservation and development that we implemented to develop and fight against poverty, the more this endemicity was lost.
A baobab is more than a tree. It is like a pachyderm, a living totem, a symbol of longevity. Baobabs are the patriarchs of this land. The forest spirits are their guests and seek refuge in their shade. Anyone who has ever been lucky enough to approach one of these giants of the plant kingdom, to find themselves in their presence and feel how powerfully they are rooted, understands the respect they naturally inspire.
Philosophically speaking, the earth isn't for sale. So if someone turns up from another country and asks for land, we give it to them. We offer it, but we don't sell it. That was the philosophy of our elders.
This is Vezo land here. When we arrived, we were warmly welcomed. Everyone was very nice to us. We respected their customs and went to see the Vezo village chief to explain our situation, how we had to flee and all that. They took us in and showed us this area where we could build our homes and settle our families. They called our village Ambolofoti. It's a Vezo name, not Mikea. Everything went smoothly with no conflict. Before, we lived peacefully. There was no theft, no aggression or violence. We really lived in peace. We'd make our meals, tell stories around the fire. The children would play, sing, dance. We were really happy. Then one day, bandits came into the forest to steal our zebus. They were ethnic groups from the east, highway bandits, and we became afraid. We sought refuge deeper in the forest, but they found us. They shot their rifles to frighten us off. Finally, it became too dangerous, so we decided to move the entire village to the edge of the forest, closer to the sea. Here, we're starting to see more foreigners and even white people, which wasn't the case before when we lived in the middle of the forest.
If you ask me, it's deforestation that's driving them out. Because we wonder when we set up development projects in Madagascar, who is this development project for? We have to ask ourselves the question, is it a development project for these people? People who didn't ask for what we call development, a faceless development, an empty shell, in fact? And development NGOs are appearing all over Madagascar and have funding. Development projects are a business like any other.
It is hard to measure the gap that separates the Mikea from the rest of the world. The Mikea are able to live somewhere no one else can, because they know how to read a language in nature which no one else speaks anymore. Today, they live with the heritage that's been handed down from their ancestors over the centuries, and their hope is to pass it on to their descendants in turn. This permanence and continuity must be seen more as a strength than a weakness, because they are the bearers of exceptional knowledge about their environment.
I often say that Madagascar lives simultaneously in the 17th century, the 18th century, the 19th century, and also in the 21st century. So actually, depending on the place, we live at different speeds. Some people live internationally, some live locally, and some live between the two. It's all very complicated. That's why if we set up development strategies, we must truly understand what kind of society we're putting in place. What speed are we at? If we introduce development at international speeds, it works. But if we put that same development to work at local speeds, it's complicated.
The Mikea's discretion and their ability to survive despite their hostile environment has fueled legends among other ethnic groups. We hear about them, but never see them. It is said they can find all sorts of honey in trees, know where to dig for tubers full of water, and are unparalleled hunters. The Mikea are experts of small things, the observers of signs that are invisible to the rest of the world. For many, they remain a mystery. Some even think they've completely disappeared.
We don't see ourselves as remarkable. You know, our only resources are the honey we gather and the tubers we find here and there. And when we find them, we eat them. But if we can no longer go into the forest, we're lost. Where will our children go, and our children's children? We don't know what to do anymore. We aren't the only ones, you know. There are other Mikea. But if we no longer live in the environment our entire culture depends on, can we still call ourselves Mikea? Maybe now we must forget this way of seeing. The Mikea are coming out of the forest, forgetting their old way of life. We're adapting as best we can.